Rotom-Wash is pretty notorious for being a defensive utility mon that just never dies. Thanks to its amazing electric water typing, paired with super thick defenses and levitate, it does that job extremely well. But what if instead it was a sweeping washing machine of death with that 105 special attack? It can naturally live hits all day long, and everyone expecting it to click Will-O-Wisp allows it to set up a nice little nasty plot. With timid nature and max speed investment, that base 86 goes a long way, especially when we throw in some sticky web support. Boosted stab Hydro Pumps hit harder than people expect, along with stab Thunderbolt as well. Since this thing is only weak to grass types, and it doesn't get access to Ice Beam for some reason, we can actually pull off the Terra Ice Terra Blast to put some fools in a cold wash cycle. Taking defensive mons and making them unexpected sweepers is fun, and today we're leaving no dirt unwashed. Look, Rotom-Wash has got to be one of my least favorite mons like all time to play against, but that's just because it never dies, and it Will-O-Wisps you, and then Volt switches, and then comes back in, and just does the same thing 1,000 times. But today we're actually going to wash some people with the washing machine, and that makes it a bit more fun. If you're into that kind of thing, I got a crazy life hack for you. Hit that subscribe button, and let's get into the match. Alright, so my opponent is going to go ahead and lead off with the Blood Moon. Now this fella is a big old scary grizzly bear, but he's hunchbacked as hell, but I have a little spider who, is also kind of scary, but the Ariados is just here to set up Sticky Web. Now, first of all, I know that I can take one attack because I got the Focus Sash, and they're just going to straight up fire off a freaking laser from the forehead. And that actually doesn't even knock me down to my Sash because Ariados with max HP is actually bulkier than you kind of think. So I do get up my web, which is nice. And at this point, I'm like, well, down goes Ariados. I'm just going to try to get a little Sucker Punch chip before I go, but they actually have different plans. They're going to end up switching. And I like to imagine they're like, you know what would be better than one spider? Two spiders. They're going to end up bringing in their Arachnid, which is a much more threatening spidery fella. So it does take the speed drop from the Sticky Web. The thing is already slow as hell, but at this point, I imagine one thing. They're probably going to go for Sticky Web of their own. And as I don't have any hazard control, that's going to be kind of bad for a little bit of what my setup plan is. So first of all, I realize, as they are going to go for that Sticky Web, I can actually bring in this demon little fella, the Carbink. Now, this thing is a secret. It's a weird Carbink. I'm working on something, alright? So here's the thing. They do go for that Sticky Web. I come in before we touch it, which is great. Because now I have a little bit of a kind of a plan here. So first of all, I am sturdy. I know that I can take a liquidation from the thing. And that's going to allow me to set up a rock polish. You saw that? Yeah, this is a setup speed sweeper friggin' Carbink. And I also have a weakness policy. So they actually end up going for the rain dance, which is actually not ideal. I was kind of hoping they would just liquidation at that point, get me down to my, my sturdy, and then I could get my weakness policy. But it's going to at least allow me to now go for that power gem, do a little bit of chip. This thing is especially defensive as hell, but then they fire off the liquidation, which is perfect because I do obviously live with that sturdy. And not only that, but now we've got our weakness policy boost. And all of a sudden, look, Carbink is cooking, bro. With the Sticky Web on their side and a rock polish on my end, I'm a very fast and unsuspecting sweeper at this point. So now with that weakness policy boost, I can go for another power gem, and that does take care of Arachnid. So I'm thinking, hold on a second, barring priority, Carbink actually goes pretty damn crazy here. So they decide to switch into the Galarian Slowbro. Shout out to the greatest nickname of all time. So the thing is this Slowbro has obviously a weird gimmick in that he tries to get Quick Draw to activate. Luckily for us, it does not. Now, I go for the Earth Power, and it literally just straight up lives it naturally with 1 HP, which is some absolute nonsense. Carbink gets hoed, and while, we didn't get the sweeper Carbink to, go fully crazy today, it's going to happen. Don't you worry. So, they finished me off with a Surf, which is bad, but now, looking at an opening here, I got to try to work around their Sticky Web. And luckily for us, I've got myself a washing machine who just floats above it. So, I decided to bring in the Rotom-Wash here. Now, I want to go for the nasty plot, but they actually do get the Quick Draw to activate, allows them to go for that Shell Sidearm, and that's going to do over 50%, which hurts a lot. Now, as I do get up my nasty plot, however, Rotom-Wash is looking real good as long as they don't get either Quick Claw or Shell Sidearm. So, or freaking whatever, Quick Draw. This thing, buddy's quick. This is a freaking Slowbro in Sticky Web, and somehow it's quicker than damn everything. But luckily, after some leftover cover, we do outspeed. They don't get the activation, and a Thunderbolt is able to kill it. So now, all of a sudden, this thing's ready to put some idiots in a spin cycle, and the freaking nasty plot Rotom-Wash is actually even better knowing that the rain is up. So that's going to boost up potential, for Hydro Pumps. So time to see what they want to do against the scariest damn appliance of all time. So First of all, they decide to go into the Blood Moon. This thing does have priority, potentially with Vacuum Wave, but obviously I'm bulky enough to take that. I go for that Hydro Pump, not hoping I don't miss, and luckily it doesn't. So that is a Dirty Bear who gets a nice washing, and yeah, that easily just knocks it out, especially after that nasty plot. With the Rain boost, we're able to take advantage of their Rain, which is always fun to do. So after some leftover recovery, Rotom's still looking healthy enough to the point where the good news is, like, I'm bulky. Barring any grass, I can take attacks all day out here. So at this point, they're going to bring in this staple removing looking bastard, and Archaludon is a little bit of an interesting matchup here. So I'm first of all looking at this thing thinking, you know, a Hydro Pump probably doesn't kill, but then factoring in the nasty plot and the Rain boost, it straight up gets through the resisted hit and just knocks it out, which is actually pretty damn impressive from the washing machine. So that was a great matchup because it's like they have the advantage in the Rain with their Electro Shot, but the Rain helped me out with my Hydro Pump, and clutch as hell. So after some more leftovers, we're just over here being, once again, the most annoying washing machine ever. So they probably did not expect that, and at this point now they can go into Tinkaton, who is a pretty especially defensive fella. And as I'm looking at this matchup, I'm like, surely I'm not going to hit another Hydro Pump. So I'm actually going to play it safe. I'm going to go for the T-Bolt instead, and that's just because I know that, you know, I can live a Play Rough, which is basically the best option they have to do to me. So they actually end up going for the knockoff, which is not going to do quite enough. And my Thunderbolt actually almost just straight up killed the guy. So now I can finish it with another T-Bolt. And all this. Sometimes the washing machine turns on you, man. It's fun to have a nasty plot setup, fella, as opposed to the general kind of Will-O-Wisp bulky set. So their final mon is going to be the Wet Peacock. And the Quaquaval is going to get caught up in that Sticky Web, which is great. Means I'm going to be able to outspeed. And then I can just roast and toast his ass with a Thunderbolt, thinking, hey, we got the clean, the full finish with the Rotom-Wash. But they're actually going to go ahead, they're going to bust out a Terra. I'm hoping for no Terra Ground at this point, but it's going to be Terra Water. And that leads me to believe I kind of see what they're doing here. So first of all, the Thunderbolt is still just going to be able to grab a kill. I'm like, you know, that's mostly fine. I'm just going to take this W and be on my way, but it's Focus Sash. And that shows me that, yep, they're going to try to go for an Aqua Step to be able to boost their speed back up, and the Terra being able to just boost that damage, hopefully enough for them to be able to kill the Rotom. But so they go for that Aqua Step with his crazy weird toes, and I actually live it with 4 HP because, as I've said many times before, this thing does not die. So even at +1 speed, the fun part is it brings it back to neutral after the Sticky Web. But Rotom-Wash is actually 1 point faster than a Quaquaval, so we're able to finish it with a T-Bolt. And the Rotom just absolutely body bags them and, you know, just sticking fools in spin cycles. So that's going to be the end of the match. Thought that was a fun one. Moral of the story, if you are dirty, Rotom's going to come and wash you. So with that, that's going to bring us into the next match. And because that's, you know, we're having some fun. If you've made it this far, you should probably just hit that like button. It does help out the channel with the YouTube algorithm and all that nonsense. But most of all, this team we're going up against is pretty scary. And also, they have a spider of their own once again. Different spider. Same Sticky Web nonsense. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Alright, so they are going to end up leading off with their Galvantula as expected, and I have myself a regular-ass Galvantula. So, I mean, this has got to be the spideriest filled episode of all time. So, I'm just going to go for the Sticky Web. I imagine that's what they're going to do as well, and we're just a couple of fellas just laying down some webs. Also, $1 million idea, Game Freak hire me. Spider Pokemon should not be affected by the lowered speed of Sticky Web. That just makes sense. So, I get my web up, they get their webs, and we're just a couple of webby fellas having a time. So I imagine they probably just go for some damage here. I also think we're probably both Focus Sash, and we're here for the same job, and Aridos just doesn't do it as well. But here's the thing. I go for the Poison Jab after taking their Discharge super nicely, and I'm like, hey, I'm actually better in this situation. I can kill you with a Sucker Punch, and that's exactly what we're going to do. It turns out Aridos is, in fact, the superior spider. So that takes care of the Galvantula, which is great. Mostly because I do have a Rapid Spinner on this version of the squad with the Excadrill in the back. So potentially we'll be able to get rid of that. Now, they decide to bring in the old Sword Hands here. It does, of course, get caught up in that Sticky Web, which is nice. I do not, however, want to give this thing any weak armor or really let it set up too easily on me. So thinking maybe they go for something like a Swords Dance. You know, they just saw the Sucker Punch. I decided to switch into Hippowdon. So Hip Hop Anonymous is, you know, pretty damn slow. We get caught up in the web, of course, as well, and this thing is not going to be winning any foot races anytime soon. But what we can do nicely is take Bitter Blade. Now, rather than going for the setup, they go straight for that Bitter Blade. I am able to take it, and then the Sandstorm on this team is basically to try to enable Carbink and give it a little bit of a special defensive boost. But also, the Hippo is just a pretty good check to a lot of common random offensive options. So they decide to switch. They're going to go right into the Earthworm here. Now, the reason why I don't go for the Earthquake is because I know this Earth-Eaten damn blue Slim Jim is just in the back ready to come in and soak up that Earthquake. So instead, I'm going to set up my Stealth Rock for later. That's going to be real nice. And also, this Hippo is kind of a machine when it comes to matchups against Earthworm, because most of the time, Earthworm's either going to set up with like an Iron Defense and be Body Press, or they're going to go for the Shed Tail. And I actually have the perfect nostrils for the job. Now, they go for the Iron Defense there. Allows me to then blow some wind at him with the Whirlwind, knock his ass back, and be like, hey, yeah, try again. I'm going to switch you into somebody random. So I was really kind of hoping for a Shed Tail, because, it would have at least eaten up a Citrus Berry, got a lot of health on the guy, and then just blow it away. But it's fine, because it actually ends up dragging in the Garganacl, and we're a couple of sandy fellas that don't care about the Sandstorm here. But most of all, this matchup is better off for me. I can get pretty hard-hitting Earthquakes, and I'm like, hey, Hippo is actually kind of really tough for their team to deal with. So that is perfect, and I'm going to try to take advantage of that. First of all, I'm thinking maybe they actually swap out here. Could go for another Whirlwind and just be extra annoying, but instead I decide to go for the Earthquake. It turns out to be the better call, because they just go for their Stealth Rock here, and I'm like, that's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and just take some nice little damage here and get it down below half easily. So that feels pretty solid. At least makes the Garg a bit more manageable. I mean, both of my sweepers in the back don't really care too much about it, but we're just having a good time with the Hippo while we got it. So I'm going to go for another Earthquake. They can't really go into the Earthworm, because, I mean, it doesn't really, I can just Whirlwind it out, and they know that. So they go ahead and hit me with some damage, take a little bit of chip, but then I just finish them with the Earthquake. And once again, Hippo Rampage. This thing is not to be fucked with. So now they can go into whatever they want. And once again, they don't have any great offensive answers against this thing. So they actually decide to go back into the Earthworm. The bad thing is for me, I can't really touch this thing, in return either. Obviously, I can't Earthquake it. Other than that, I have Stone Edge coverage. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to Whirlwind again. If they want it, the best thing they can do is basically just Body Press. And that's what they are going to do. Lay their weird, long metallic body on me, and I don't take much damage from it. Bad thing is I don't have any recovery. So, I mean, the chip damage is one way they're going to be able to get around the Hippo, but that's fine, because I'm like, try again later, bitch. I go for that Whirlwind, and this time, it's going to bring in Blissey. So, Blissey is actually a pretty glaring problem in terms of being able to stop my sweepers. My sweepers on this team, of course, being freaking Rotom and Carbink, which is actually hilarious. And both of those fellas are special attackers. So, one thing that I want to take advantage of is try to get an Earthquake here and do as much chip as I can to this thing. Make my job a whole lot easier in the back. And as they go for that Seismic Toss, we are getting pretty whittled down, by the Hippo here. So Earthquake doesn't quite knock it out, but it also doesn't quite knock it to range, to where the Sandstorm kills, which is unfortunate. However, at this point, I'm thinking, as they go for another Seismic Toss, probably I'm gonna go into Rotom here. I can take an attack, no problem. And then I can try to set up, and then, no, they actually go for the Soft Boiled. Of course, this damn thing is weirdly enough going to eat its own egg. Some type of crazy, fucked up circular chicken over here just eating his own eggs. And I am like, well, that's not really what I was looking for. But here's the thing. Rotom actually doesn't have a bad option to set up here. Now, of course, this is the biggest special sponge in the damn game, but most of the time, Blissey's going to go for like Thunder Wave and Seismic Tosses. Knowing they can't Thunder Wave me, it's more than likely they're just going to go for Seismic Tosses, and just I have a couple chances to set up there. Now, they're actually going to go for another Soft Boiled, and it brings them back to full. So what I once thought was going to be a Blissey that was going to be easy to deal with, now we're looking at this thing at full HP, and I've got a special attacker in front of it. But I'm not afraid. Listen, I feel like I probably should be afraid, but I'm just going to continue to go for Nasty Plots. If I can set up to a pretty crazy level, even just after 2 Nasty Plots, Hydro Pump is a 2-hit KO, and that's what I'm kind of leaning towards here. Now they are going to go for the Seismic Toss there. It does 50 after some leftovers. I know I can take a few of those bad boys, and according to my math, I should potentially be able to win this matchup. So my thought process is this. First, I'm going to go for the Thunderbolt. That's going to tell me a little bit about how this bad boy is built. So seeing I do around 40-ish%, which is actually super nice. Now, they hit me with another Seismic Toss, and I will actually die to the next one. However, a Hydro Pump should be in range if I can connect to kill this thing. I do connect, and we absolutely power wash the shit out of that Blissey, and it does kill it. So most of the time, Blissey's being invested in physical defense rather than special. Helps us in that situation, because a 2-hit KO from a Rotom after 2 Nasty Plots is honestly pretty damn impressive from a Rotom. So with that thing out of the way, honestly, we're looking pretty nice with the Rotom. So They're going to end up bringing back in freaking Earthworm here, of course. It does take some Stealth Rock chip. And this thing is not the type of guy that handles special attacks super well. So I can actually just go for the T-Bolt here. Don't have to risk the Hydro Pump just because, of course, I have 2 Nasty Plots set up. And here's where the Sticky Web really works well on my end. Just because, you know, I'm faster than everything. And after 2 Nasty Plots, this is not the guy you want to deal with. So at this point, they're going to go ahead and bring in the Ceruledge. I'm mostly just kind of concerned about a potential for Terra Grass, which would be bad because, of course, grass is our freaking arch nemesis here. But with, you know, that Sticky Web, we're going to be able to outspeed the thing. And I once again, don't need to click the Hydro Pump. They do not bust out the Terra, and a Thunderbolt just shocks his ass into the Shadow Realm. So that takes care of the Ceruledge. And at this point, Rotom is rolling, baby. All we had to do is get through a Blissey, which is easier said than done, but we've done it at this point, and we're just reaping the damn benefits here. So their final Mon is going to end up being Baxcalibur. And this is a fella that, even at +4 special attack, neither of my stabs likely grab a kill here. And I'm thinking, well, after some Stealth Rock chip, it looks like it's pretty close. But I actually have one little trick. I'm going to end up going for the Terra Ice. Now, what that's going to do is a Terra Ice Terra Blast is neutral rather than a resisted hit. And with, you know, +4, easily able to knock out Baxcalibur. I'm just going to go ahead and fully turn Ice mode. It's basically just there for grass types, but in this situation, this Ice Dragon is not going to enjoy the cold rinse here. So I'm fully expecting just the Terra Blast to come in clutch, but they saved the Terra for the end. They're actually going to go for a little Terra of their own, and sadly for us, it's Ice Terra, which is going to now getting rid of its Dragon typing is going to rid itself of, you know, the freaking weakness to Ice, and now it's just a resisted hit, and we're just a couple of idiots with snowflakes on our heads, just having a weird time. So I go for that Terra Blast, thinking maybe I still actually grab a kill. I do not. The Baxcalibur does in fact live, allows it to then fire off a Dragon Claw, which does knock me out. And down goes the Rotom, looking like a fool, and damn it. So I did not get the full body bag, but the good thing is we got enough chip to basically be set up for success here. Also the fact that they weren't able to set up any Dragon Dance or anything. All I gotta do is bring in another weird fella, which is Bayonet here, who is, you know, probably not gonna take attacks super well. We do also get caught up in their Sticky Web, which hasn't really been a factor this match because of our levitating washing machine, but I can essentially just go for a nice little Sucker Punch. They are gonna attack, and boom. That is gonna be a dead Baxcalibur, and that's gonna be the end of the match. So that was kind of a ridiculous one, and just overall fun game with a stupid team. And sometimes, you know, it pays off for you. So thank you guys very much for watching. For real, I do appreciate all the support. You guys have been absolutely amazing in the comments, and I love even reading every one of them. So once again, I will catch you guys next time. Peace out.